us this day our daily bread, and to the republic for which it stands, and by the power invested in me, I pronounce us ready to eat.
Back then, Disney released a summer comedy about a lounge singer who hides from the mob inside a convent, and somehow it became one of the biggest hits of 1992. Sister Act stars Whoopi Goldberg as Dolores Van Cartier, a Reno lounge singer who sees her mobster boyfriend, played by Harvey Keitel, commit a murder. Dolores does not choose to hide in a convent. The detectives working on her case force this decision for her own safety, and she is not happy about it. Her new safe place is a struggling San Francisco convent where she clashes with the no-nonsense Mother Superior, played by Maggie Smith. Along the way, she changes the tone-deaf choir into a Motown-style sensation with scene-stealing help from Kathy Najimy as the endlessly enthusiastic Sister Mary Patrick and Wendy Makkena as the shy Sister Mary Robert. Today, we are diving into 15 weird facts about Sister Act. But before we get started, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, you silly goose. It helps this channel reach more nostalgia fans who definitely own the Sister Act VHS and forgot to rewind it. Now, let's start the countdown with number 1. The screenwriter tried to meet a real Hollywood actress who became a nun. Before Sister Act became the gold standard of lounge singer hides in a convent comedies, screenwriter Paul Rudnick decided he should probably do some real research about nuns. And he did not want to meet just any nuns. He wanted to meet the nun, Mother Dolores Hart. If that name sounds familiar, it is because Mother Dolores was not just some random Hollywood actress who found religion. She was the actress who gave Elvis Presley his first on-screen kiss in the 1957 movie Loving You. By 1960, she had become a breakout star in Where the Boys Are. Hollywood even called her the next Grace Kelly. Then in 1963, she walked away from all of it and entered a cloistered Benedictine monastery in Connecticut. Rudnick traveled to Regina Lawless, stayed there for 2 days, and absorbed the daily rhythms of Abbey life, but he never actually met her. Even so, her life story shaped the core idea of Sister Act, a glamorous performer giving up the spotlight for something completely different.
A friend of mine said, "I know a place you can rest," and she sent me up to the Abbey. And I went up to Connecticut. And the first time I was there, I said, "This is amazing."
Only Dolores does it to avoid getting shot, not to find spiritual meaning. And this is where everything comes back around. Many years later, when Victoria Clark was getting ready to play Mother Superior in the Broadway musical, she finally met Mother Dolores, who gave her one piece of advice. She said, "Do not make her too holy. God wants our humanity, not our perfection." Even today, Mother Dolores is still the only nun who is a voting member of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences.
Number 2. Bette Midler turned it down and later regretted it. Sister Act could have been a Bette Midler movie if she had not been scared of wearing a nun's habit. Back in 1987, screenwriter Paul Rudnick wrote the main role especially for Midler and named the character Terry Van Cartier. Disney loved the idea. Jeffrey Katzenberg called her and then called her again and again. But Midler said no every time, using the same reason. She said her fans did not want to see her wearing a wimple. When she passed on the role, Disney panicked and quickly started looking all over Hollywood. Madonna was considered, Cher was considered, even Tracy Ullman was also considered. At one point, they were rewriting the script so often that it felt less like normal development and more like a casting roulette wheel that would not stop spinning. Finally, everything came together when Whoopi Goldberg stepped in, put on the habit, and completely owned the role.
I'm a real genius. I'm a real genius. That's why we're packing them in. And don't you pack any more of my makeup in that bag. Don't think I don't know what you're doing.
Years later, Midler admitted what everyone else was already thinking. She made a big mistake. As she said herself, Whoopi wore it all the way to the bank, so God bless her, she was perfect for the role. And when you consider that the Sister Act movies made millions of dollars around the world, that wimple clearly came with some serious money attached to it. But don't feel too bad for Bette. She is a Broadway legend, a movie icon, and she has more awards than most people have shelves to put them on. She is doing just fine. She only has to live with the thought that somewhere in another timeline, there is a version of her career with even more sequins and even more nuns. Number 3. They started filming without a finished script, and Whoopi called in Princess Leia. Once Bette Midler said no, and Whoopi Goldberg agreed to do it, Disney panicked and gave the writers 2 weeks, yes, 2, to rewrite the whole movie to fit Whoopi's style. Surprisingly, that was not enough time to change a Bette Midler movie into a Whoopi Goldberg comedy. But the studio already had a release date, so filming started anyway, even though the script was still being written. Director Emile Ardolino later explained it perfectly. Shooting out of order is tricky, and then suddenly you come to a scene that hasn't even been written yet. It was pure chaos. At one point, several big-name writers like Nancy Meyers and Robert Harling were all rewriting parts during production, like a comedy emergency room. And when the script started to wobble, Whoopi Goldberg didn't wait for the studio to fix it. She brought in her own secret weapon, Carrie Fisher. Fisher came in as an uncredited script doctor to improve Whoopi's dialogue and help control the chaos behind the scenes. She wasn't just changing jokes, she was helping Dolores sound like a real person and like Whoopi instead of a character written for someone else 3 rewrites earlier.
So why don't you just give me the key to my room? I'll lay low. You stay out of my face, I'll stay out of your face, and I will commune my little black ass in that room. Can you handle that?
She also acted like an unofficial diplomat on set whenever tensions rose with Disney's leadership. Meanwhile, the original writer, Paul Rudnick, felt the movie had gone so far from his original idea that he asked to be credited under a fake name, Joseph Howard. When a screenwriter feels the need to protect himself from his own movie, you know things had gone off track. Somehow, through a mix of patchwork scripts and what must have been some kind of divine help, they made it work. Sister Act went from "we'll figure it out on set" to becoming one of the most loved comedies of the decade. Number 4. Kathy Najimy found her nun on Entertainment Tonight. Kathy Najimy wasn't completely sure how to play such a bubbly, cheerful nun until she happened to see anchor Mary Hart on Entertainment Tonight. She said she watched Hart give a very upbeat compliment on air and immediately thought, "Oh my God, that's my nun." And once you know that, Sister Mary Patrick makes perfect sense.
Mother, on behalf of all the sisters here at St. Catherine's, I'd like to offer a great big hi there and hello to Sister Mary Clarence. Hi.
She's not just cheerful, she's like a walking dose of happiness. Mother Superior runs the convent like a strict head mistress with Olympic-level discipline, and Mary Patrick is in the corner acting like choir practice is the most exciting thing in the world. Part of why she stands out is because Najimy had already built a career playing characters that felt very specific, sharp, and fully committed.
That girl is pure sunshine. She'll either grow up to be a nun or a stewardess. Coffee?
Before Sister Act, she was already well known in theater and comedy for the Kathy and Mo Show with Kathy Gaffney, a sketch show that ran off Broadway and later became HBO specials. She had already shown that she could create big, memorable characters without making them into cartoons, and that's why Mary Patrick works. She's bubbly but real. She's joyful but not silly. She's the kind of person who makes you laugh and annoys you at the same time, which is also how you know it feels true. Number 5. Those weren't Wendy Makkena's vocals, but that was all Whoopi. One of the sweetest side stories in the movie is Dolores' effort to help the shy Sister Mary Robert come out of her shell.
And Sister Mary Robert, could you come stand over here, please? Yeah, come on over. I noticed that you're moving your mouth, but nothing's coming out. So I'd like to just hear you by yourself, if you don't mind.
We eventually find out that the soft-spoken sister can really sing, but it's not really actress Wendy Makkena singing. Her voice was replaced by singer Andrea Robinson. Robinson is one of those studio singers Hollywood calls when they need a character to suddenly sound like they've been training for a big cathedral concert their whole life. She has done voice work for Disney animated movies and has quietly provided the singing voices for other actors on screen. And that is what makes Sister Mary Robert's story work so well. Wendy Makkena perfectly shows the fear, the body language, the shy energy, and the strong feeling of not wanting to be noticed at all. And then, when the movie needs that big breakout moment to truly hit, Andrea Robinson's powerful singing voice makes it soar. Whoopi, however, did her own singing. All of it. The lounge performances in Reno, the choir rehearsals, and the big show-stopping numbers.
Every note that comes out of Dolores Van Cartier's mouth is sung by Whoopi Goldberg herself. No dubbing, no hidden singer, and no studio tricks.
And it was not easy for her. She trained for a long time with vocal coach Mickey Curley and vocal arranger James Ford to make sure she could handle those lead songs. So when Dolores sings "I Will Follow Him" in front of a full church, that is not movie magic. That is preparation coming together with performance. Number 6. Whoopi was so angry at Disney that she refused to promote the movie. Sister Act is a feel-good comedy about harmony, forgiveness, and finding your voice. But behind the scenes, there was very little harmony. All of the script rewrite chaos from earlier did not stop when they yelled "cut." By the time filming ended, Goldberg's relationship with Disney was so badly damaged that when Sister Act was released in theaters, she refused to help promote it. No interviews, no press tour, no talk shows, she stayed completely silent. Think about that. Disney was about to release a summer comedy about nuns singing soul music with a little Ave Maria mixed in, and their lead actress would not do a single interview. And then the movie became a huge hit. Anyway.
Close your eyes. Visualize yourself in a room full of people, lots of silverware, people dropping stuff, talking loud, drunks, women with trays going, "When are you gonna?"
Sister Act became one of those rare hits that did not need the full Hollywood promotion machine. Audiences showed up, word spread by word of mouth, and the soundtrack climbed the Billboard charts and stayed there for more than a year. Just imagine if Whoopi had actually promoted the movie. They might have needed to build a second Disney vault just to hold all the money. Nothing fixes studio tension faster than a 9-figure box office run. Number 7. Nuns, room service, and absolute menace behavior. During filming, Kathy Najimy and Wendy Makkena decided to order wine and fries to their hotel room using room service while they were still wearing their nun habits. Before the food arrived, Kathy insisted that Wendy sit on the bed, staring seriously at the television, which was tuned to an adult channel, just so they could get a reaction from the waiter. Everything was going according to plan until Wendy could not stop laughing and ended up losing a $100 bet with Kathy. And then there is the Reno casino part of the story, which is basically the most 1992 thing possible. The production spent time filming inside a real Reno casino, which the actresses loved. Najimy later said it was great because she loves gambling.
Oh, I love this song. Gimme, 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 credit tonight.
She also said that Wendy Makkena smokes, and they would sit at the blackjack table in their nun outfits with drinks in front of them, fully in costume, smoking, sipping, and gambling like the Vatican had opened a lounge. Imagine being a regular person in Reno trying to have a simple, irresponsible night, and you look up to see that you are losing money to a nun with a cigarette and a cocktail. That is not just a vacation memory, that is a confession. Number 8. Whoopi became the highest paid actress in all of Hollywood. After all the production trouble, Whoopi Goldberg turned the situation into leverage and became the highest paid actress in the industry. When Disney came back to her for Sister Act 2, they offered Whoopi somewhere between $7 and $12 million, which was a huge paycheck at the time, especially when most leading actresses were lucky to make $2 or $3 million per movie. Suddenly, she was earning more than everyone else. That same year, Tom Cruise had just made $12.5 million for A Few Good Men and was seen as the gold standard for movie salaries.
0. Nobody. Not one call to his parents saying he was coming home. Not one call to a friend saying, "Can you pick me up at the airport?"
Whoopi was now playing in the same league as the biggest action stars in Hollywood. As she said herself, "I'm the highest paid woman in the history of making movies." It's a nice little kick. It's a fun thing to mention at dinner parties, and people look at me and go, "What?" But she didn't just take the money and stop there. She used it as leverage. Whoopi had a passion project called Serafina, a musical drama about South African students rising up during the 1976 Soweto uprising. She reportedly became the first Black American actress to film a project in South Africa. No Hollywood studio wanted to touch it. It was too serious, too foreign, and didn't have enough star power. So it was made independently overseas.
Freedom is coming tomorrow. Get ready, mama, prepare for your freedom.
Then Sister Act became a huge hit. Disney wanted that sequel so badly, and Whoopi saw her chance.
She told Disney, "You want me back in the habit? Then you have to give Serafina a real US theatrical release." Disney agreed and put the film in American theaters. Serafina wasn't a big box office hit, but people got to see it. It got distributed. And it happened because Whoopi understood exactly how much power a 9-figure comedy gives you. That's how you play Hollywood. Now, we're going to take a quick pause, because if you're enjoying this trip back to 1992, hit like and subscribe before Mother Superior gives you that look. It helps the channel keep this choir singing every single week. So now let's get back to the weirdness with number 9. They turned pop classics into gospel hits, and then performed them live in costume. Let's be honest, the idea sounds crazy. Take pop and doo-wop songs, run them through a choir of nuns, and hope the audience doesn't riot. But Mark Shaman, the movie's musical mastermind, made it work. Shaman had been arranging music for television and big-name artists before moving into film scoring, and Sister Act met him use every single skill he had.
We've been doing a little bit of rehearsing, and it was very wonderful. It was really remarkable. But this is all really because of that man right there, Mark Shaman.
He took songs that should never have been sung in a church and made them feel like they always belonged there. The arrangement somehow found the perfect balance between respectful and playful, holy enough for a convent and funky enough for a Reno lounge. My Guy became My God. I Will Follow Him turned into a hand-clapping, show-stopping number. Hail Holy Queen got a doo-wop breakdown that really shouldn't have worked, but somehow it did. And the finale version of Shout, originally an Isley Brothers track from 1959, turned into a full, all-out celebration.
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and...
The soundtrack didn't just make the charts, it stayed there. The album spent 54 weeks on the Billboard 200, earned a gold certification, and became one of those records that people kept in their homes, whether they owned the movie or not. And here's the part that shows Sister Act became a true cultural moment. Later in 1992, Whoopi Goldberg and several of the film's nuns were invited to perform at a fundraiser in full habit, doing the choir songs from the movie. Not a premiere, not a press event, just a fundraiser, like they were a real touring act. That's when you know a movie has crossed over, when fictional nuns start getting booked for real events. Number 10. Harvey Keitel's extremely confusing Nun-filled 1992. In 1992, Harvey Keitel starred in 2 movies about nuns, and somehow they couldn't have been more different. In Sister Act, he played Vince LaRocca, a Reno mobster whose whole romantic story involves ordering a hit on his girlfriend. Keitel spends the movie stomping around casinos with the energy of a man who can't believe he is losing his ex to a convent choir. He's scary enough to be a real threat, but just cartoonish enough to fit in a Disney comedy. At one point, even his own henchmen refuse to shoot Dolores because she's dressed like a nun.
I can't, Vince. She's still a nun.
And Vince has to stand there, completely frustrated, trying to explain that wearing a habit doesn't give anyone divine protection. Then there was the other nun movie. That same year, Keitel starred in Abel Ferrara's NC-17 Bad Lieutenant, a brutal, intense film that is the complete opposite of a feel-good Disney comedy.
Do you have the right to let these boys go free? Can you bear the burden, sister?
Talk to Jesus.
Martin Scorsese later called it one of the best films of the entire decade. One movie has choir rehearsals and uplifting makeovers, the other is basically a man destroying himself for 96 minutes while Catholic guilt watches from the corner. Here's the thing, Keitel was cast in Sister Act when Bette Midler was still attached to the project. When Whoopi Goldberg joined, the producers offered to buy out his contract and recast the role. He said no and decided to stay with the movie. Maybe he saw something in the material. Maybe he just wanted to show his range. Either way, the man went from Disney villain to one of the rawest performances of the 90s in a single year. 2 nun movies, same actor, same year. Totally different vibes. Harvey Keitel contained multitudes. Number 11. The movie became a Broadway musical. Sister Act didn't just stop at being a hit movie and a VHS favorite. It was turned into a full Broadway musical.
because once Hollywood sees a built-in audience, it starts humming show tunes. Sister Act opened on Broadway in 2011 and earned multiple Tony Award nominations. Unfortunately, that was also the year the Book of Mormon took the Tonys by storm and basically treated the whole award season like a victory lap.
I'll just leave it here. It has a lot of information you can really use.
But the show still made an impact, especially because it introduced a lot of theater audiences to Bette Midler. She was the first to play Dolores on stage and became one of the breakout stars connected to the musical's success. It wasn't just the movie, this was live theater. The stage version became a major spotlight moment for her as a leading lady. 2 years later, she won the Tony Award for Best Actress in a Musical for Pippin.
Oh my God, this is an honor of a lifetime. This is a childhood dream come true for me.
Sister Act didn't just adapt a movie, it launched careers. And here's the full circle twist. When the show went to London's West End, Whoopi Goldberg made a limited appearance, but this time, she played Mother Superior. She came back like, I already did the fun part, now let me stand here and judge everyone, which is honestly the most Whoopi possible way to revisit your own franchise.
Number 12. The nuns are technically wearing the wrong habits, but nobody cared. In Sister Act, the sisters proudly call themselves Carmelites, which is a problem because not a single habit on screen is actually Carmelite. The Carmelite order is contemplative, cloistered, and quiet. Lots of prayer, lots of silence, and very little time for chasing mobsters or turning the neighborhood choir into a Motown show. If real Carmelites saw what these movie nuns were doing, they'd need a second vow just to process it.
What do we do now? Pray what?
It's 9 o'clock. Pleasant dreams.
Wait. Are you telling me we go to bed by 9?
The habits the actresses wear actually look more like the outfits of the Sisters of St. Joseph of the Third Order of St. Francis, a name so long it sounds like a tongue twister made up by a very tired seminarian. That's probably why the filmmakers just went with Carmelite. It's shorter, cleaner, and nobody is pausing the movie to Google religious orders. Sister Mary Robert wearing a different habit is correct though. She isn't a full nun yet, she is a novice. When she takes her final vows, she will then wear a full habit.
So, Mary Robert. Did you always want to be a nun?
I always knew that that was my calling, to lead a life of service.
The habits weren't completely accurate, but in a movie where witness protection apparently means joining a choir and performing on live television, wardrobe accuracy is barely in the top 20 things you're supposed to just accept. Number 13. A $31 million movie about singing nuns made over $231 million and became the most rented VHS. Sister Act cost $31 million to make, which was modest by early 90s standards. Then it went out and earned $231.6 million worldwide. In the summer of 1992, the film stayed at number 2 at the domestic box office for 4 straight weeks. And look at what it was up against. Lethal Weapon 3, Patriot Games, Batman Returns, all explosions, espionage, and superhero budgets. And then Sister Act just walks in with harmonies and a habit.
Reverend Mother, I just wanted to congratulate you. I haven't enjoyed Mass this much in years. What a marvelous program. Innovative, inspiring, you're to be commended.
Domestically, it earned $139.6 million, making it one of the top grossing films of the year. Then, home video turned it into a full-on household takeover. After Sister Act smashed it in theaters, the VHS came out in November of '92 and quickly became the crown jewel of every blockbuster wall. It was the most rented VHS of 1993, which means the whole nation spent a year fighting over one plastic brick of joy, and half of them returned it without rewinding, like criminals. In a time when your weekend plans depended on whether someone returned a tape with a paper sticker, Sister Act ruled.
Number 14. Everyone thought they invented singing nuns and sued Disney over it. Sister Act was such a huge hit that suddenly everyone claimed they had invented the idea of a singing nun. Disney barely had time to enjoy the box office before the lawsuits began. On June 10, 1993, Donna Douglas, better known as Ellie Mae Clampett from the Beverly Hillbillies, and her partner Kurt Wilson filed a $200 million lawsuit against Disney, Whoopi Goldberg, Bette Midler, their production companies, and Creative Artists Agency. They claimed the movie was plagiarized from the book A Nun in the Closet, which they owned. Douglas and Wilson said they had developed a screenplay for the book in 1985 and submitted it to Disney, Goldberg, and Midler 3 times in 1987 and 1988. They also claimed the movie contained more than 100 similarities to their material.
Now, you're somebody who's into hard work and discipline, aren't you?
Oh, of course, I'm a nun. 4 popes now.
4? Wow.
In 1994, Douglas and Wilson turned down a $1 million offer to settle the case. The judge ruled in favor of Walt Disney Pictures and the other defendants. Wilson said at the time that Disney would have had to copy their material word for word for them to win. And that was just the opening act. In 2011, Harlem nun Deloise Blakely sued Disney and Sony for $1 billion, claiming the movie and the Broadway musical stole her life story. She pointed to her 1987 autobiography, The Harlem Street Nun, about her work as a young black nun using music to help disadvantaged youth. Blakely said she had sent her book to a producer who later worked on the film. Disney said there was no connection, and the New York Supreme Court agreed, dismissing the case with prejudice. 2 lawsuits, 2 losses, 0 damages, and unlimited confidence that singing nuns was such a rare idea it could only have come from them. Number 15. The plot that would never, ever happen in real life. Now, let's be clear. The entire premise of Sister Act falls apart the second you use even a tiny bit of real-world logic, and that's part of why it works. In the actual U.S. witness protection program, marshals don't shove witnesses into Catholic convents and tell them to blend in. That's not a relocation plan, that's a setup for a true crime podcast. Real witness protection is about staying anonymous. You get a new name, a forgettable apartment, maybe a job at a hardware store in a town nobody's ever heard of. What you don't get is a featured spot in a choir that ends up performing on national television. The program specifically avoids tight-knit communities because people notice outsiders. Dolores might as well have walked in wearing a sequin jacket that said, "Ask me about my past." It's also against U.S. government rules to hide agents or place witnesses in identities pretending to be members of the clergy, the Peace Corps, reporters, or members of the media.
Have you seen what he can do? That one bullet, that's all it's gonna take.
Look, let me explain something to you. Vince knows people all over the place. You realize that. He knows people all over the place. That means he's gonna be looking for me everywhere.
Everywhere but this convent.
Oh, come on.
Individuals in these jobs are considered especially vulnerable, and putting witnesses in their roles would put the whole group at risk. The filmmakers knew all of this, of course, but sticking to reality would have ruined the movie. There's no comedy in Witness moves to a strip mall in Ohio and quietly sells insurance for 3 years. So instead, everyone just went along with the idea that federal agents thought, you know what'll keep her safe? Give her solos and a TV appearance. None of it makes any sense, but Sister Act leans so hard into the absurdity that you stop caring. It's not even remotely realistic, but it is absolutely fun. And there you have it, 15 weird facts about Sister Act. Let us know in the comments which fact surprised you the most and what movie we should dive into next. If you enjoyed this one, hit like and subscribe for more. Until next time, be kind and rewind.